Hello and welcome back to Learning to Program with Go. In today's video, we're going to be covering switch statements, which are like the alternatives to if statements. Let's get right into the video. Let's first take a look at this program. We have a variable called class and it's set equal to freshman, a string. Then we have many if statements here checking on that value of class. So if class is equal to freshman, which it is here, it will print you're new here. If it's sophomore, you know your way around. And then if it's none of these others, you end up falling into this else statement no matter what, saying you must be a grad student. So let's go ahead and run this just to confirm. So go run and it prints that you're new here because we set class equal to freshman. Now this is a very verbose way of checking the value of a particular variable, and we can use switch statements to condense this and actually be a little bit more representative of what we're trying to do in our program. So if we want to make a switch statement, we can start by using the keyword switch. So we will switch and then we must give it some variable or value or constant, but you know, this is pretty much always going to be a variable. So we'll put class and then we open up some braces. So what this means is that we're going to iterate over, or we're going to encapsulate the scope to this variable. So what are all of the different types of values that class can hold? Well, first we have to think of, okay, what data type is class? So it's a string, and strings can be one character long, they can be 0, they can be 100, they can contain different characters. But in terms of the scope of this program, class should only ever be set to freshman or sophomore, junior, or senior, and we take care of any other case using this else statement. So just keep that in mind. Now, a case in a switch statement is representative of a single if statement, like here. So if we want to switch off of or make a switch case for freshmen, what we do is we say case, and then we give the value that we'd be looking for. So we're looking for freshman, and then you put a colon. As you put the colon there, it will auto format to put the case in line with the switch. There is no indenting here for the case. And then what's indented is the code that will be run if class is equal to freshman. So I will go ahead and copy this print line statement here. And that's all we have to do. We can go ahead and create another case for sophomore. Again, we can just copy the statement here and do the same for the rest of what we had in that if statement. So now that we have all of our cases here, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and remember what I had said earlier, we want to have sort of a representative of any other case that could be in a switch statement, and that would be this else statement right here, but there is no else in a switch, and instead we have what's called default. So we would say default, and we give no case here, it's just plain default, and then we can copy this print statement and put it right there, and so we can go ahead and actually clear all that out. And now this is a much more succinct, condensed, efficient way of switching off of the values of what class could possibly be. Now if you're coming from a C or Java background, there's one glaring issue here, and it's that there's no break statement. We do not need to break out of switch cases here, so you can just leave that blank and the compiler or whatever Go just automatically takes care of that for you. There's no fall through. So if you enter freshman, it will not fall through to sophomore. So let's confirm that the program is running just like it was before. So if I do a go run, we see that we get you're new here still. Now, what if you wanted to switch off, like you wanted to have a case where multiple values could be true for it? So in this sense, we have senior, we just do a comma now, and we could do grad. So both senior and grad, it will say get ready for the real world. So now that I have grad put up here, we need to change what this is going on here. Let's say, who are you? Question mark. And then let's go ahead and put in grad top. So class is now equal to grad. Let's run this again. And we get ready for the real world. Another thing that we can do with switch statements, and actually with if statements, I just forgot to cover it, is create a local scoped variable to this switch statement. So I could say C is equal to class here, and then we switch off of C. And for instance here, then we would go ahead and switch off of C. So let's go ahead, run this one more time. And we get ready for the real world. And actually we can go ahead and just print out C here instead, just to confirm that C is actually getting assigned class here. So run this again and we get grad is printed out. So that's where if you wanted to manipulate the variable or do some other things with it, you could always declare one right up here that's only scoped to this switch statement. Now let's say you just really don't like this style of switch statements. Well, there's another switch statement in Go that's called the blank switch. And the blank switch is very similar to to if, but again, it's iterating on the if in the sense that it is a little bit more condensed. But let's create an example here. So I'm actually going to create an age variable. It's going to be equal to 18, and we'll use this here soon. So as the name implies, we can have a blank switch statement here where there is actually no value to switch off here. Now for each case, we must have some Boolean expression or statement that evaluates to, true or false. So these are no longer valid. So instead what we must do is say case class equals freshman, and then class equal to sophomore, so on and so forth. So I'll go ahead and put in these equality statements here. And for instance, what we could do here is instead of having this comma where this is basically saying senior or grad, it will fall into this statement right here. We could do class equal to senior, or a logical or here, class equal to grad, and then it would fall into this print statement, which this needs to be fixed to just be class. Then have the default print line saying who are you. Now you might be wondering, why do I have age here? It's just because this is a blank switch. Again, it can be whatever, we can have any kind of cases. It doesn't have to switch off of particularly the class variable. So I'll go ahead and do another or here and say age less than 20. So in this instance, I have class is set equal to an empty string, but age is less than 20. So we will fall into this print line right here. So let's go ahead and save, do a go run, and we get an empty string printed out because I made class an empty string. But regardless, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that we only need Boolean expressions here for the cases instead of just switching off of one value. Now you might be asking yourself, when do I use a regular switch statement? When do I use a blank switch? Really, you only need to know what to use is if you're only comparing against a single variable, then you can use a switch statement. But if you kind of need to mix in a couple different variables in their switch statement, then it's okay to use a blank switch. That concludes this video. So today you should have learned about switch statements and blank switches. If you learned something, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.